Hello everyone, VJose32 back again with another What's on Deck. And first of all, as you can see, I have posted a deck collection update video, and there is a link to the last one, which also has a link to my full collection, which is kind of outdated. Maybe one day eventually I'll get back to doing a new updated complete deck collection video, but that's a lot of work with over 1,700 decks in my collection. So anyways, you can check that out to see what I've gotten over the last several months, and it's quite a bit. Let's look at Kickstarter right now to start off with. And before I do, I should mention a lot going on right now. There is new stuff coming from Illusionist, Fury 11, Dan and Dave, and more. So stay tuned for that later on in the video. But let's look at Kickstarter first. At first, there's this deck I want to mention quickly that has been canceled. It was not going to fund anyways. I have no idea how you pronounce that name or what that name means. It's something that looks like it's a Ravik. It's supposed to be produced by NPC from Lords Playing Cards. These guys have had one successful minimalist deck, individual playing cards. They've had a few other decks. They were all canceled and or unsuccessful, and this one was going to be the same. The artwork is not that great. It's very kind of 8-bit-ish, if you will. And then you look at the faces. These are the faces, by the way. You get pips that are unreadable, no indexes, one-way chord cards that are unreadable, unusable, and it's not going to work. Pixelated artwork. It looks terrible in my opinion. And there was no way it's going to fund. There's no way it's usable for any kind of card game or Magic or anything like that. I mean, I appreciate the thought and the idea, but it's not going to work. And it says in here that it was that it has Scandinavian and Mexican slant. If it does have a Scandinavian and Mexican slant, why does it look like it's got an Arabic name to it? And what does that Arabic name stand for or mean? And all it says is that it's that figure deck. Whatever, it wasn't going to fund. It's pretty hard to fund a deck of cards that nobody can pronounce the name, and that the artwork is just not that good and not usable. And the back design actually reminds me of a couple other decks that have been on Kickstarter recently. I think the Fall of Troy comes to mind, and definitely the Viva Mexico deck comes to mind. But yeah, just terrible faces. Moving along, Playing Cards Reimagined by Liam Savage. This one is currently 9% funded, 26 days to go. It is not going to hit $10,000, I don't believe. And the problem is the reimagining part. And there isn't really a name to this deck, it just says Playing Cards Reimagined. The problem is, people do not want their cards reimagined. They like their cards with clubs, hearts, spades, and diamonds, suits. They like their cards with fairly standard poker-style phases because they're easy to recognize, they're familiar, they're identifiable, and they're playable. When you start changing the suits into shapes like this, triangles, circles, and diamonds and squares, it loses that certain appeal that playing cards have, in my opinion. The back design is so-so. The pips definitely hurt this whole deck. And apparently they represent C's, Polis, Peaks, and Roses. Because those all have so much in common. I mean, I can understand C and Peaks. I don't know what Polis really represents. And I don't think that Roses kind of fit with Peaks and C's. So yeah, it's pretty odd, as you can see. Apparently, they start off with just a circle, a triangle, a square, and a diamond, and they add more circles, diamonds, squares, and triangles as the value increases. So you can imagine what the chord cards are going to look like. And this is just another look at some of the number cards. Not overly great in my opinion. I mean, I appreciate the thought. It's definitely interesting and different. But nobody wants to use this. And again, the index says there's no suit indicator, which makes it unusable for playing poker or card games. Not that anyone would with a deck like this. What is the goal on this one? $10,000. Yeah, that's not likely to happen. Moving along. Another bright idea. Library Lovers playing cards from Word Nerd Games. We got a lot of bright ideas this week. This one is currently 40% funded, 25 days to go. It probably will fund, and that's probably just a result of having a very low goal of 710 pounds. This is similar to other decks we've seen. The idea is the faces of every card have an image of different books. It's for book lovers. It does have some appeal to book lovers. Not so much to, I guess, poker players or card collectors or magicians. Representing books from the 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s. So, yeah. Look at this one. Bored. Yeah, it's a little bit boring. There's no back design. Apparently there's free international shipping, so that's a bonus. I'm not sure how that's going to affect his wallet when it comes to fulfilling this project. But, yeah, it is what it is. That's what it is. It's just a simple deck with books on the faces. Joy. Moving along. There it is. The digital Magma Red playing cards from Jason Nguyen. This is his 7th project, none of which have been successful, some of which have been canceled. He just keeps throwing out different ideas all the time, and none of them are really sticking, and I don't think that he's really sticking with any of the ideas. Apparently there's going to be 1,000 of these produced, numbered on the front of the tuck case. Apparently, not sure how much that's going to cost. Obviously it's got a digital theme to be printed by Legends playing cards. And, I mean, compared to some of his other decks, it's not bad, and it's got a decent inspiration. Decently done. It's pretty nice. Pretty limited. And you can see some of the faces here. Again, there's a problem there. Standard court cards. Everything else is custom, though. And that kind of hurts it a little bit. I mean, this is supposed to be digital theme deck. Why not customize the court cards? It's screaming for customization on the court cards. You also get a blank card and a double backer with a blue color on the other side, which does not look as good as the red color. It doesn't stand out or anything like that. It should be a darker blue or a brighter blue. Something, I don't know. There's something about that blue color that doesn't stand out like the rest of the cards. The red cards, that is. Whether or not this is going to fund, I don't know. I'm not expecting it to. Right now it's 7% funded, 21 days to go. The problem being, again, is just people are not sticking with him because he's not sticking with projects or ideas, and he just keeps throwing out ideas all the time, and I don't know. It's turning off people. Next up, the Royal House playing cards from the Edgy Brothers. Nice back design. This has got a rose theme on the back design. Interesting court cards that look a little bit like some that you might see from collectible playing cards. But they're pretty cool. This is the rose deck. There is also I apologize if I'm going a little bit fast, but you can always check out the project page yourself, and I do recommend this one. It's one of the nicer ones that launched this week, compared to a lot of the other ones that are pretty much crappy. There is also a Gilded deck, which is obviously not going to be cheap. 500 only produced. And only 400 will be made available for this project. It does also feature a tuck case with more gold on it, as opposed to the regular one, which you can see has a bit more red to it. There's also a plan for a blue deck in the future, but that'll be another project. And right now this one is 44% funded, 27 days to go. That's a pretty big goal for one single deck of cards. I'm not sure how they got $18,000, but it seems pretty high. That might determine whether or not there's funds or not. Moving along, Betty Wickett first anniversary playing cards from John Daniel Taylor the fourth. And it is what it is. It's just a custom back design, one-way back design with tentacles and some chick. There's your back design. She's got a lot of tattoos on her. Apparently she's got some kind of power. It's not overly exciting. The faces are just completely cheap, standard, made in China faces. I'm not sure who's producing it. Apparently this guy creates these comic books like this Betty Wicked. And there was another one previously that he did that he also had a deck of cards on. And it's nothing overly exciting. It's just standard faces with a custom one-way back design, representing a comic book that most people have never heard of before in their lives. It's gonna fund because it has a very small goal of $750, and that's all there is to it. It's 40% funded, 25 days to go. It's just a matter of time, I think. As you can see, his other projects, they're all related to different comic books, if we can get there. Basically different comics. Eventually we'll see other decks. Here's the first deck he did, the Strange first anniversary, because so many people care. It's pretty weird when you have to fund all these comic books on Kickstarter, different issues. Why not just create them and sell them? If people are interested, they'll buy them. I don't know. Next up, Legacy playing cards from Lonnie Dawson. It's doing so well. It's 6% funded, 28 days to go. Not a huge fan of this one. I'm not even sure if I should be mentioning this one this week. I guess I should. It did just launch. So, not his first project. Here we go. There's 3 decks. A gold one, a silver one, and a black one. It's got a bit of a metallic look to the backs. The faces, as you can see, not so good. I'm not a big fan of the fonts used for the indexes. And I think there's just way too much going on the faces, as you can see. You'll see when I get to it. Here's the back design. There's quite a bit going on in there. Full of little fine details. I mean, there's a lot of details, but it's almost way too many details that I don't know how this is going to turn out in an actual playing card, and I would have liked to have seen a prototype to see what it's actually going to look like. But it definitely has a metallic look to it with all the little details. And again, just way too much details. And you look at the cards, got a big joker, little joker, the aces, court cards, which have a tiny little court card, standard court card image in the center. Letters and pips just thrown in there for the hell of it on top of the index. And it just looks like a bunch of stuff thrown together for the hell of it when you look at it. And then it also tells you the value on the top and the bottom. Number cards a little more standard looking. I want to get to down here. You can see again all the details put into the faces. I don't think these are going to come out too well on an actual playing card, because you got this and you got this, you got just so many things going on in there, so many little fine details that it's not going to turn out good, I don't think. And without a prototype to show what it's actually going to look like, I don't feel too comfortable getting it. The creator, by the way, did create one project before which is also equally weird. It's actually weirder. And that was this. And there's no artwork or anything left except for this weird image of his face. It was a pretty bizarre project. He's deleted all the information because it was just really bizarre. And you could search for it on the forum. Moving along, We'll talk about this one. That one is 6% funded, 28 days to go. I don't think it's going to happen. Then there's this, Nocturne, which is actually a movie, Devil's Playground, some kind of a horror thing. We're looking for $20,000. Right now, it's not heading in the right direction. They do have a deck of cards. Currently, right now, the project is 8% funded, 26 days to go. They do have a couple of decks of cards, actually. There's one of them. It's a custom collector's deck. And then there's another one right here, which is just kind of a standard deck. This standard deck is $30 plus shipping, which is really ridiculous for basically a standard deck of cards that should cost about $8 to $10. Then there is this collector's deck, which has got a lot of blood on it. And it's pretty nice. I mean, it's pretty bizarre, but it is completely custom. Some of these cards look a little bit hard to read with all blood stains on them. And especially the red cards, they seem to have images in there, or some of these cards seem to have images in there that are kind of blurry, or faded really, actually. But these ones, $50 each, which is, again, about 5 times too much for this deck of cards. No more than $15 for a collector's deck of cards, in my opinion. There's also no information whatsoever on who is producing the decks of cards, what kind of quality they're going to be, stock, and whatnot. And it's a movie that apparently not a whole lot of people care about at this rate. So, I don't think it's going to fund. Certainly a lot of collectors are not going to be interested in paying those kind of prices for those kind of decks. So, it is what it is. Next up, I like this one. Not because there's nudity, though that probably helps. Oops, dropped my pen. This is the Pagan Otherworlds Tarot deck from Usagi, and as you know, I am a big fan of Usagi, and this is why. They launched this project yesterday. It's already extremely well funded. It's gotten more funding than every other project that's launched this week combined. And that's saying something. And more backers than they all got combined. It's a tarot deck featuring 84 cards. There is also a poker deck available. This is based on the Pagan playing cards that came out a year or so ago, which is very popular. It's almost completely sold out on the website and resellers. And so I came up with this new one in a blue color. There's a tarot version. There's also a poker version. And this kind of a deck, the Pagan, was a perfect one to do a tarot deck of. So it made sense to do it. I don't expect them to do any more tarot decks, at least based on any of the previous decks that they've done. This is probably the last one. That's the second tarot deck they've done now. And it looks great. There's also these special moon cards that are going to have, more than likely, gold foil to really brighten up the moon, which is going to be pretty awesome. Here you see the tuck case. And here's a poker deck, which is going to have the same quote cards and artwork as the original decks, except that it's going to have this different tuck case that says Pagan on the front like that. And it does have a different Joker as well, which they haven't revealed yet. And there's going to be 5,000 produced from Expert Playing Card Company. I think the original decks were all USB-C. I'm not sure why they're doing so many. You'd think limiting it would be a better sell, but they're going to sell them anyways. And there's all sorts of other great add-ons for this deck as well, as you can see. Gilded decks, of course. Both tarot and poker decks. Uncut sheets of a tarot deck. I haven't seen that before. All sorts of cool stuff. Definitely highly recommend anything from Usagi because they always do very well. And this one's already extremely well funded. And it ends in about a month, I think it is. I forget. Next up. Triple Vision playing cards from One Widow Playing Cards, which has done a few decks outside Kickstarter previously that were produced with a Canadian printing company and were so-so quality. This one has a 3D theme to it and a minimalist look to it, as you can see. Court cards, everything is completely custom. Back design is pretty simple. To be printed by the USB-C, I see. I wish the borders were a bit thinner or non-existent, especially with a back design like this. I'm not a big fan of the faces all having just black and white color. It does not help, the hearts and diamonds stand out from the clubs and the spades. But that's a minor thing. It's a decent deck. It's has some effort put into it. And, there's no reason not to check it out. But I'm not sure it's going to happen at this rate with 15% funding currently of 29 days to go. It does have plenty of time, but it's going kind of slow. Moving along to interference playing cards from Mark Allender, which is currently funded already, or actually almost funded. It's 80% funded or more. 23 days to go. This is not the first time around for this deck. It's at least the second time, possibly the third. And I see it's got two different colors right now. If this had been funding with a USB-C goal, it would not fund. It's only funding right now because it's got an MPC goal. And I know that because he's tried this before once or twice and it didn't fund. It does have some effort put into it. It's half decent, but it doesn't do a whole lot for me. I prefer the glitz playing cards over these one-way back designs, and actually maybe it's not a one-way back design, but it's not a very good back design. It's all, I guess, about static and whatnot. And it doesn't even have a whole lot of artwork zone, just a one number card, one chord card, one back design, and that's that. Moving along, Usagi playing cards from Julian Steiber. I think that's how you pronounce it. It's the last one I think I got to talk about. Actually, a couple more I want to mention quickly after that. This one is currently 21% funded, 24 days to go. May or may not happen. It was previously on Indiegogo. It's got basically a casino-style back. And there it is. Apparently it doesn't even say Usagi anymore. It's just Japanese symbols and polka dots. Oh joy. Number cards, standard. Nice ace of spades. There's your jokers. And court cards are basically standard. They look like they were borrowed from original Smoke and Mirrors decks or something like that, because they're kind of a little more simplified than the standard court card, but they're still standard court cards. And that is what it is. To be printed by Legends Playing Card Company, and that's that. I'm not sure it's going to fund. It's pretty standard looking, fairly standard looking back design and faces, and like I said, it didn't get funded on Indiegogo, which is not a big surprise, and I'm not sure it's going to happen here at this rate. Moving along, a few more to tell you about. First of all, there's this one, Untied States Sword playing cards, which was supposed to have launched yesterday. It did not launch for some unknown reason. You look at the back design, the spade pip on here, it kind of looks like it came from the Sentinels playing cards. And to me, there's just way too much going on in the back design, way too many little details, I think. It kind of takes away from the whole thing. And in the faces, they're okay. The back design's okay, but it looks like it's got a little bit too much going on, just a little bit. And seeing with the faces, maybe just a little bit too much going on. Not a big fan of these court cards. They're just a standard court card face with color added, without the body or anything like that. And again, a little bit too much going on, just a little bit. I'm trying to be positive. And then you'll see the indexes, by the way, from the number cards to the court cards are different, which doesn't help with, using them for poker and stuff like that. And then having different sizes of pips from one card to another, I don't like this. Look at these 5 of spades. All the pips look like they're conjoined. It's just weird. Why are they so close together? Why are they on top of each other? Separate them. Make them smaller. It's just, I don't like faces like this where the pips are way too big, way too close together. Look at this 10. Why is the 10 of clubs different than the 10 of diamonds in the pip layout? That just looks weird and odd and doesn't... That's the only one that's different. You look at the 10 of spades, 10 of hearts, 10 of diamonds, they're all standard looking pip formations, but the 10 of clubs, he's changed for some unknown reason. Why? I don't know. And the jokers, I mean, I like them. They got a decent look to them. And this one actually has a reveal in it. 2 reveals. One is a jack of hearts and the other is a jack of clubs. And there's his original deck that's available for an add-on, but for some reason it hasn't launched. I thought I would let you know anyway about this deck. I want to mention this one quickly. Eminence playing cards from Vadim Smolensky. 5 days to go. It needs just under $2,000. Let's get it funded. Get 1 of each. Get 2 of each. You know, whatever. They're pretty cool cards. And I like them. I definitely recommend checking them out. A lot of effort put into the court cards and the faces and number cards, pips. Everything is completely custom, 100%. And then I want to mention Sideshow playing cards from Straight Games. It has 6 days left. It also needs just over $2,000, over $2,500 really. And again, completely custom from head to toe, 100%. Very nice deck. You know, it's a little bit bizarre in the artwork, or the figures, because it is supposed to be bizarre. But it's definitely nice. Definitely good people. They were nice enough to send me a set of poker chips. No questions asked. And I think that deserves support after that nice. So anyways, a very nice tuck case as well. I like that. Definitely check both of those out. Let's get them funded. And that is what I got. Stay tuned for all the non-Kickstarter decks. Stuff from Illusionist, 311, Dan and Dave coming soon. I'll tell you about them right now. Alright everyone, so let's look at all the non-Kickstarter decks right now. We had a whole bunch of Kickstarter this week. But there's some to talk about that are non-Kickstarter related. First of all, this. Blood Kings from Illusionist, coming soon. It's available to Black Club members right now. Die Like Kings. Somebody's saying it's related to someone that Madison knows that passed away recently. I forget his name. But the fact of the matter is, these went into production way before that guy passed away. So it's just kind of maybe being used to honor him. But there it is. Live like kings now, die like kings. Apparently this is the final chapter, but we all know how good Illusionist is with final chapters on decks. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see other colors in the future of this, but hopefully not, because it's, I mean, you can only go so far with this Kings deck. You don't want to overdo it. If anyone was interested, JP Playing Cards in the UK is already selling them or pre-selling them, which is pretty bizarre that Illusionist would allow that, because usually it's intended that members, Black Club members, get first dibs on the playing cards, and here we got other sellers pre-selling them. That's BS in my opinion. Speaking of which, then there's this, Madison Revolvers, which has been available to club members for a while. They're now being sold slowly to the general public. They've been doing something pretty stupid with the revolvers. First of all, I think it's stupid that they're reusing the Madison logo. They clearly stated a year ago, over a year ago maybe, whenever it was, I think it's when they released, it might have been the White Rounders, it might have been the Purple and Orange decks, whatever they were called, I forget what they were called. They said they were no longer going to be using the Madison logo. Well, here we go, they're using the Madison logo again. Why Illusionist can't stick to something that says and has to be completely dishonest about anything, I don't know, but how anyone could trust a company that is so dishonest, I don't know. But here we are again with Madison logos. It is what it is. Maybe it's something that was already in production, or something that they were thinking about before they said that. But at the same time, they could have just, not done it. To me, it's lazy, and it's uncreative, and it's unoriginal to keep going back to the same old thing over and over and over again. Do something different. If Daniel Madison can't illustrate a deck of cards, don't let him do that. Let somebody else illustrate a deck of cards that can actually do that and create a decent deck of cards, instead of just putting the Madison logo on every deck of cards until people bleed from their eyeballs. I mean, it's ridiculous. But anyways, the other stupid thing they've been doing is they've been releasing, I think, 52 decks a day to the general public. That's it. Or 52 orders, whatever it was. They're allowing a very limited amount to be sold every day. Apparently it crashed their website once at least, and it just seems completely stupid and ridiculous. Maybe they're trying to prove a point. I don't know. Speaking of which, yet another Madison logo deck, because Illusionist is stupid. This is the Madison Crooks. So we've had Madison Steelers, now we got Madison Crooks. Coming next year, either the Madison Thieves or the Madison Robbers, or both, who knows. But it's funny, I mean, obviously, they're clearly trying to, Illusionist is clearly trying to say, we are stealers, we're thieves, we're crooks. And people don't see it. But basically, it looks like the Madison Dealers, except it's got slightly thicker lines on it. It's really, really lazy, really cheap, uncreative, unimaginative. But what else would you expect from Illusionist? This is why people are canceling Black Club memberships in droves, because it's crap. And then, on top of that, I should point out that Illusionist has decided to eliminate the recognition point system without even telling anyone. They just posted a little blurb on their website that says, we're not doing it anymore. Well, why not tell people that? Why not let people know? Instead of just secretly removing it without mentioning it. It's just ridiculous. Moving along to something a bit better is Fury 11. Of course, Fury 11 recently released the Jack Sellers Blue Edition, which looks pretty nice. Yeah, it's a recolor, and I will point out this is with this and the next deck I'm going to tell you about, it will make 3 or 4 recolors now they've done in a row, and that gets a little bit tiring and ridiculous. I mean, it's not much better than Illusionist reusing the Madison logo over and over. But at least the decks are a lot more, well, elegant and sophisticated than what Illusionist is putting out. These are available right now, of course, if anyone is interested. Apparently rare and limited. And it says clearly limited edition. The other one, they will be releasing soon to the general public. But if you are an elite with Fury 11, you can get them right now. It's the Green Monarchs. Not exactly the expected color for the Monarchs, but it's fine. Apparently it's for the holiday season. It doesn't say that it's limited, so it should be available. I mean, it is what it is. It's just Monarchs. It's just a different color. Again, it's a little bit lazy, but at least it's a lot better looking than a Madison deck. And only $7.95. Right now, if you're elite, you can get them exclusively, limited amount, up to 12 decks, in one order only. So it is what it is. Hopefully they ship soon, otherwise it kind of eliminates the point of being able to buy them early if they don't ship until they ship all the other ones. When are they going to be released to the general public? I have no idea. They haven't mentioned that. Could be Black Friday. Could be in a couple of weeks from now with something else going out Black Friday. I don't know. We'll see. Moving along. There's something else I want to mention. The Year of the Goat Kung Hai Fat Toy deck, which you've known about for a while, has a different version. This is the one I already got that I'm thinking is a little bit harder to find, a little more limited. But now they have this one. A Star Casino version made for the Star Casino. Slightly different back design. Still a lot of red. And a lot of foil. Oops, you can't see that image very good. But I just thought I'd point it out. It is available at playingcards.net and also collectible at playingcards.com, where of course you can use the code VITOZERI32 to get 10% off your order. Let's move along. There's this. Not to be outdone, Dan and Dave has also teased a new deck which is coming November the 6th to their website, so it's not a Black Friday deck. There'll probably be others. It is the Sons of Liberty playing cards, which looks pretty interesting. Very nice back design. Again, better than Illusionist. It's not the same old boring piece of crap over and over. It's something new and original. Even if the faces aren't completely custom, it's better than nothing. It's better than what Illusionist is doing. And that's all we've got. Here's things we're hoping not to happen. 1. Repeating chords. 2. One-way chords. 3. Excessive text on the chords. 4. $15 a deck. And 5. Comes in sort of a bundle and not on its own. I agree with all of those, and I don't anticipate too many of those happening, if any. Moving along. 52 Plus Jokers 2015 Club Deck, designed by Paul Carpenter from Uncarded. Available to 52 Plus Jokers members right now. Only 1,000 produced. They're going pretty fast. I think there's a limit of 6 per person. I will be getting a couple from somebody, thankfully. If there's any left afterwards, they will be available in November from Encarded.com. So I'll have to see if that happens or not. And it will be more money, of course, on Encarded's website afterwards. Then there's this. There was also kind of released at the 52 and Joker convention. I don't know if it was actually sold, if it was just shown, but it's the Liberty playing cards designed by Jackson Robinson, and I think made for Gambler's Warehouse. Looks pretty interesting. Looks in tune with a lot of his other American themed decks. Apparently it's been coming soon for months now and still hasn't come yet, but obviously it's coming soon now. And one more to tell you about, Never Forgotten, the Never Forgotten project, neverforgotten.storeenvy.com. Pretty cool deck designed by Randy Butterfield in honor of people who have passed away or who have diseases. And it's very nicely done. Faces, court cards are basically standard. However, they have different colors representing different ribbons, representing different illnesses. So, definitely worthwhile getting, especially if you are like most people and have somebody who's gone through cancer or something else, or have lost somebody who's gone through something. And it's a decent price, and I do recommend getting them. And of course, it's nicely designed, as usual, by Randy Butterfield. So that is that for this week. Sorry if it's a bit long. I will see you next week with more.